92.7 WOBM. Shawn Michaels with you this morning, and we're talking about dealing with folks who are in the spectrum of autism and dealing with food, specifically dealing with your diet. Dr. Lisa Solcente joins us this morning to talk about that topic, and it's very interesting to find out how it pertains to, our kids and our families with diet. Lisa, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So let's first start with how you got involved with dealing with the spectrum. Autism is, I think, for some confusing just for the simple fact that there is that spectrum, which means that there's very different shades of autism. So how did you get involved particularly in this?
Oh, that's a great question. I have a son that is on the autism spectrum disorder. And he's 15, but my journey began as a mom, trying to figure this all out. Mm-hmm. And so when he was about 3 or 4, which is about 12 years ago, we do the math. And so he was just starting having all these problems that became very, very severe. And it was like escalating into a huge problem. So I didn't know how to fix it. So the problems for me were across the board. It was in school. It was if we went to restaurants, if we went out, it was if I went to a party, if I was at a family event, if I had people over my house, it was getting changed. And I was so many challenges that I didn't have, with I have 3 boys, I didn't have with my other 2 kids. So that's how it began, with me just realizing I had a huge problem on my hand and trying to figure out how to help him.
So then how did you narrow it down to more specifically, I guess, dealing with diet and dealing with food?
Well, because I'm a nutritionist, I have a background in that. I'm pretty strong with food, and I made my own baby food. The kids are always fed really, really well. And my son, Luke is his name. He just was what we'd call now a picky eater, and I didn't realize at the time that has to do with sensory problems. Mm-hmm. So he would only eat like 3 things, and usually it's like 3 horrible things, like a fast food chicken nugget, Cheerios or croutons or something like that, or Oreos or Doritos. And I realized that I wasn't getting the nutrients in him. Yeah. So I had to figure out with him how to, get him to overcome sensory issues and like food.
With your research, have you found that much like the spectrum, each child differs when it comes to diet and how they approach food?
Yeah, it is. Some kids can overcome it quite easily, and some it's more of a challenge. Mm-hmm. So as a spectrum, there's the more severe kids would be like if they walked into a room. I know my son would walk into a room if he smelled turkey at Thanksgiving, he would immediately get ill. Some kids can some kids can get sick just from the smell, the sight, the taste, the texture of a food. And then there's other kids on the spectrum that are just kind of, the texture might bother them, the smell might bother them, but they're not actually going to get ill. They're just going to be more, I don't want that, no thank you, I don't, or some have meltdowns over it. And then some kids are just like overcome it more easily. So there's definitely, you're correct, a spectrum if they're going to try foods or even be around foods.
So what would be your recommendation for our parents who are listening who might have a child who's within the spectrum with autism? What are some of the things that you can recommend to them to help them get their kids to have a balanced diet when that can be challenging sometimes?
The first thing you have to do is you have to make sure you have to identify if there's a sensory problem. Because if there's a sensory problem, then you need to do strategies that help with sensory. And what that means is the senses are your taste, your smell, your touch. Mm-hmm. And what happens is you would have to do some strategies to help them overcome if they had a taste problem, a texture problem. So that's the first thing. Yeah. The second thing that the parent could do is to play with food. And we actually forget this. I think food becomes so like monotonous and routine. Just getting meals on the table is difficult sometimes. Yeah. But really to slow down and play with the foods and let them explore it, let them be very creative with it. So what I do in my office is I created what's called Food Play, and I created this program based upon my my problem with my son, but then also helping other people beyond my son. And what I basically do is, so if I'm going to use fruits for a day, we bring in all different kinds of fruits, and we let them smash them. We let them, mash them. We use our hands. This is helping you overcome sensory issues, by the way, because you're touching it, you're smelling it, you're looking at it. Yeah. So really, I buy those Play-Doh things, and I let them, smash it. You get some play hammers. Depending upon the age, of course. If it's an older child, I actually get them to start making recipes and touching food and, more cooking with it.
Yeah.
Shopping together is really great. Like getting them interested in getting a shopping list. Kids love to be leaders. They love to be involved. So if you're going to involve them in your shopping, even if moms, you have to do a big shopping without them and then you bring them back to find like 12 things and play detective. And then explain like what a lot of kids don't know, believe it or not, when I show them what a pear is. Or if I bring out an apple, they might know, and a strawberry, but they might not know what a raspberry is.
I got you.
Right?
Yeah.
So start introducing when you're shopping, hey, look at this. You want to try this? What color is this? And you just start really talking about food and playing with food.
Doesn't this seem to be a type of therapy that works well with autistic children? Just getting them involved, whatever whether it's getting dressed or whether it's food or whether it's going to school, whatever. But getting them to be involved in the process and in what is involved around whatever the activity might be, gets them to relax and to be able to deal with it better. So this is what you're trying to do with food.
Exactly. You're so right. You're right, because I'm an autism coach. That's my thing that I'm doing now. And when I implement a behavior plan for a child, that's exactly what I do. I'll say, let's make a schedule so they know what they're going to do when they wake up. And you are getting the child involved in decisions and what's going to happen next. And, what you're saying is getting them involved in the process. They love to be, hands-on, and they love to be creative, and they really like to be involved. So no matter what your kind of challenge you're looking at, that is definitely the path to take.
We're talking with Dr. Lisa Solcente. She is a local resident right here in Ocean County. And, of course, she has a book out, and I want to mention that, The Over-Tilted Child. Tell us a little bit about that project that you put together.
Oh, that was great. I wrote a book, and that's basically how to help your child create a very successful classroom, because my son Luke was having issues with succeeding in school. And there's all different, problems that can happen in the classroom. But today's classroom is very ditto-oriented. It's very curriculum-oriented. We know with this standardized testing and things that are happening, the classroom isn't as creative as it used to be. And these kids really, really struggle because they have to move and groove, and they've got to really keep their nervous system in this energy that they've got. They need to keep it busy. So I wrote a book because what happened was I was getting success with Luke implementing strategies in the classroom, and then I would have a mom going, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Or a teacher saying, can you help me? And I was really answering the same questions over and over again. So I thought, hey, why not put it in a book format and put it on a website format so people can, get the answers and don't have to call me direct. And I can't get back to everybody sometimes, know. So that's really where the book came about. And it's become successful because it's really got a lot of strategies in it on how to help set the right classroom up.
And folks who are listening can go to your website, which is DR for Dr. LisaSolcente.com. And you've got everything. You've got blogs on there, autism support. You can, workshops that you can work with. You can also get the book. And you can even download the book, so you don't even have to head out to the store, right?
Yeah. So however you want it, it's paperback or, the digital format.
Very simple to do. As we wrap up, what would be, with the holidays just around the corner, what would you say as far as, we've got a lot of, different types of foods that they might not, children might not see all year round. What would be your advice for parents with, and not only that, but as we always say, the amount of food that comes around when the holidays come. We're all putting on, oh my goodness, I gotta have to run just to work off the cookies and the pies and the cakes and the ham and the turkey and everything. So it could be overwhelming. Yeah,
it can be. And there's traditions that come with holidays, and there's certain foods that come with holidays. I know at least that, my tradition. Mm-hmm. So there's certain foods that, kids on the spectrum might be like, ew, ick, no way. It smells weird. It looks weird. So my biggest advice is really to bring the healthy foods that your kids eat with you. Don't expect them to kind of fill up on, grandma's weird stuff. The other thing is possibly feed them a really healthy meal before you go to a holiday event or a holiday party, and make sure they got something healthy in, and then they can, because a lot of them are going to go for the junky, a lot of them will go for the carby type stuff, the chips and things like that. So
and we won't blame anybody for passing on the fruitcake.
Oh goodness. No, I don't think they're going to try that, but maybe,
So that is the best place to go to, is your website for all the information that you have.
Yeah, and also if anyone's, because this is local,
yes.
And I go national. So this, I have an office, and you're welcome to visit and do food play with me. It's very successful because the kids respond well to a third party.
How about a phone number for folks who want to get a hold of you?
Awesome. 732-477-5888, and the name is Atlantic Coast Chiropractic.
Very cool. Very cool. And it's drlisasolcente.com. We'll put all the links up on our website for all the information to get a hold of her there as well. And she has her contact information up on the website as well. Lisa, thanks for being with us and sharing some, items of great information to folks who may have children who are in the autism spectrum.
You are welcome, and thank you for having me.